Hey guys, Shane McMurray from the Wedding Report. In this episode, I interview Brandalyn, who is the owner of Oh My Posh Events, located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Enjoy. Brandalyn, thanks for doing this. So let's talk about your business. Let's talk about where you're located. So tell me what city you're in. Tell me your website, your Instagram, all that good stuff.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Um, my name is Brandalyn. I'm the owner of Oh My Posh Weddings and Events. Our website is www.ohmyposhevents.com, and all of our social handles are just at Oh My Posh Events.
Nice.
We're based in Las Vegas, Nevada. So
Awesome.
lots of great weddings here.
Yeah, right? Good deal. So since you're in Las Vegas, do you get a lot of like last minute activity, or do people call you ahead of time, or?
We get both. I think because everyone still kind of has that elopement mentality, we do get a lot of inquiries for couples just wanting to get out and come here for a quick, intimate wedding, which is great. We love doing big and small. So yeah, we do actually get a very, very good mix here.
Yeah. What's the shortest amount of time would you say that someone has called you and say, "Hey, I'm getting married tonight. I need you to help me."
Yeah. Well, not that night, but we've had, like a week's notice to put something together. And, our elopements are not in a chapel. It's not just a quick in and out wedding. So there is still some planning involved. But and for the most part, most of our elopements still give us plenty of notice, but we've definitely had those last minute calls.
That's good. That's good. So tell me what goes into the work that you do. So let's say I've contacted you. We've sat down, we met. How do you usually interact with people? So is it usually like video like this, or do you on the phone, or do you guys one-on-one sit down, or what do you mostly get?
We really try to get a feel for the client. We get a lot of clients from like the UK, where it's a little more difficult to have phone chats. So they prefer Skype or a lot of email communication.
Yeah.
After the initial inquiry, I like to send over a questionnaire just to kind of get more of a feel for their style and just get some more information about them. And then I like to jump on a phone call or set an in-person meeting if that's doable.
Yeah, if that's doable. Yeah. And so let's say they book with you. Tell me what happens after that. Like what goes into the work that you have to do to prepare to get ready for their day?
So every wedding is different. Some start where they need assistance finding the venue right away. Some already have a lot of the planning done and they're just kind of getting help halfway through. So it kind of depends on where they're at in the planning process. But with our full planning, after the contract is signed and the retainer's paid, we jump in and we start, we'll first have a sit down meeting with them and we really get like a lot of detailed information from them. We like to get to know their personalities and their style. This kind of helps us get a better idea of what their vision is going to be for their wedding day. So we'll do that. And then we kind of jump into getting their vendors, trying to match them up with vendors that are going to best suit them. And we do design as well. So with our full planning and design, like I said, we're going to get to know what colors they like, what colors they don't like. Just any important details that are going to make a difference, that little things that we can incorporate into their wedding day. If they're a basketball star or something and we want to incorporate little tidbits of their personalities into the day.
Yeah, I got to imagine there's a lot of when you do a full deal, right? There's probably a lot of questions you need to go into to get like, okay, man, to make it their day, right?
Absolutely. And we can't do that all in one meeting either. I mean, it's really a process of getting to know them just throughout the journey, and on that day, them walking into a room and seeing something that just makes sense for them and it screams their personality.
You say it's more like peeling an onion, right? So there's like layers to this thing. You know, you kind of get this initial feel, and then as you start to peel back and discover, it's like there's just more reveal.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So how much time would you say you spend from the day that you guys sign the contract up into the day?
Typically we start about a year out. It
Wow.
can be more, it can be less. Again, just kind of depending on the package that they book with us. We do some partial planning, so we've had clients who jump in at the 6-month mark and want us to kind of take over. So we have to really like dig into their contracts and what they have, and we pick up the pieces from there.
Hmm.
Um, but our full planning typically about a year out.
Yeah,
We don't really like to go more than that. But if it's a bigger wedding and a lot more work that needs to go into it, we'll start right away. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you seeing people come shorter time spans, or do you think it's more, or it's further out?
um I think as I get more involved in the wedding industry and our clientele builds up, I'm seeing more that they want help starting at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's a lot of work.
it is.
Yeah,
We do get a lot of inquiries, so we'll say day of coordinators. We as planners hate that term.
I
And
know. Yeah,
we're trying to change that over to like more wedding management because it makes more sense. There is no such thing as a day of coordinator.
right.
So
Yeah, it's kind of one of those terms that it's kind of a misleader or a misnomer, if you want to, because you can't just come in the day of and then just take and magically make it all work. You have to do
yeah,
some work ahead of time for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me what happens. You've got everything planned, day comes. Tell me what goes into that.
What goes into the actual day itself.
Yeah, so you're there. The day is here, man. Tell me about your day.
So we start very early in the day. We're the very first vendors there. We get our team together and we all arrive. Um, we start with the setup site. We'll start at ceremony and reception. Everybody gets everything kind of going, and I'll be there to overlook vendors just to make sure everybody's there and prepared and knows where to go, just navigate through the day. And then I like to spend more time with the bride and the groom, check in with them, make sure that their wedding party is all taken care of, make sure there's no last minute wedding snags in the dress
Yeah,
or
right.
anything that just needs to happen. I mean, it always happens at every
Everything.
wedding,
Yeah,
always
yeah,
something. So
yeah.
we like to be with them and then know that our vendors are there taking care of what needs to be taken care of on site. So,
Mhm.
um,
Is it a
and
long
then
day?
it's a very long day. Yeah. It's usually, I would say anywhere from like 12 to 14 hours, sometimes more, just depending on the size of the wedding and
Right.
how much detail they have in the day.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so um, there's always, you said there's something always goes wrong, right? I mean, it seems like it, right? What would you say is like the most, and I hate to say popular, but the most popular thing that usually happens that goes wrong?
Um, that's a good question. I really don't know that there's one certain thing that I've seen at every wedding. It's always something different. We've had the maid of honor like not show up on time. We've had vendors who don't show up on time.
Wow.
We've had wedding dress mishaps that we need to sew things together last minute. I mean,
Yeah.
you name it. It's yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that there's one key thing, honestly.
Oh, well, that's good. I mean, at least it's a spattering of, I mean, I
It's
never
always a
think of it.
surprise.
Yeah, it's always a surprise, but you're prepared, right? You know that, hey, there's something gonna
Correct.
happen. Yeah.
We are.
So, so for couples, what one piece of advice would you give them if you had to give them one?
I would say hire your planner from the very beginning. It's so helpful to making the day run smoothly. It's helpful to all the pieces coming together. It's really difficult when they've planned most of the wedding and we jump in and we don't know them as much. We don't know what their vision is quite as well. So I feel like you don't get the same effect as if you were to have a full planner. Like I said, we really build a connection with our couples along the way, and we want to know their life story. We want to know what they do for a living, how they met, and we want to tie these pieces into their wedding day, just to make it that much extra special for them. And we always like to throw our own little things in to surprise them that day that maybe they don't know it's coming. So it just makes the wow factor, and that's what we
Yeah.
want. And it's really hard to give that to a client if they hire you 3 months before their wedding day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. That's good advice. Thank you. Um, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the business side. On the business side, what would you say for you guys is working well right now?
I think the weddings here in Vegas, the dynamic is changing a little bit, and I think that's helpful to us as planners. Um, Even with elopements, going back to that, a lot of brides, when you think elopement, you think of that quick little chapel, like in and out, you're treated like a number kind of thing.
Yeah.
But brides are not wanting that anymore. And this generation, they want more unique experiences. So it's helpful to us because we get to provide that. We get to have fun with it. And we get to come up with crazy ideas or take them to a new fun spot and get married someplace that you just wouldn't think of.
Mhm.
So it just creates like a different experience for brides. And I think they like that.
What would you say is like one of the more popular ideas? Like you talk about experiences, right? People are looking for experiences. I agree with you. I think that's exactly where people are going today. What would you say like in the Vegas area? Because there's really a lot of nice places besides, the strip, right? There's tons of really cool places outside of Vegas. What would you say is like the most popular that you're seeing, or the types, like mountains, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, tons of desert weddings, Red Rock Canyon,
Yeah.
Valley of Fire. I'm actually doing an elopement next month where they're jumping on a helicopter and we're going down. We're going down into the Grand Canyon, the bottom of it. They're getting
Wow.
married, pop some champagne, have some wedding cake, and then come back to the strip and do some nice pictures all around the strip. So,
That's
uh,
pretty cool. That's a
yeah,
really cool experience, right? Like that's exactly it, right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah, Red Rocks too. I really like Red Rocks. I've been to Vegas and a few times, and we actually stayed over by the Red Rocks area. We came New Year's Eve for we saw Bruno Mars a couple years ago, New Year's Eve.
Amazing.
I know it was crazy. The first time we'd been like there on New Year's Eve, but we stayed at the Red Rocks area, and such an amazing area. Just that whole space over there is just beautiful.
It
Beautiful
really
for
is.
weddings or just hiking or just hanging out. It's really nice.
It's beautiful. And yeah, like a lot of people think, Vegas, oh, the strip, but there's so much more here. I mean, you can have a wedding over at Lake Las Vegas and have the beach and have water behind you. I mean, there's so many options here, and it's fun because we really can play a lot with the ideas here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good to know. So on the flip side of what's working well, what would you say is not working well right now?
I think a big challenge for us as planners again is the all inclusiveness here. I've worked in Texas doing weddings there, and it's different because they have a lot of freestanding venues where they just give you the space, and they're gorgeous spaces, but they don't include anything. So you need your planners. You need to start from scratch, but it's a blank canvas, and you can do whatever you want with it.
Hmm.
Here, it's a little different because all the hotels advertise that they're all inclusive. So it's a one-stop shopping, and it makes it hard for the planners because they sell themselves on having a coordinator or a planner, if you will,
Right.
and their coordinators are not quite planners. I mean, they work for the venue, and
Yeah.
we work great together. We love the coordinators. We love all of them, and we make a wonderful team. But there's a difference between having your own venue coordinator and having like a wedding planner who's going to help you get fitted for your dress and get the groom's tuxes all set. And, if you want any outside vendors, we're going to go find all of those for you. So I think it's a challenge just having them advertised as all inclusive and that they have their own planners.
Yeah. Uh, but I mean, you and I were talking about like people want experiences and different things. Do you feel like that part of the business is, I mean, couples are moving away from the hotel experience or the banquet hall kind of thing, right? They're getting outside of that
Yes and
space.
no. Yes and no. The larger weddings are going more into the ballrooms, like, and we have some beautiful ballrooms here,
Oh
Waldorf
yeah, there's some amazing
Astoria.
spaces there. Yeah.
Yeah, Waldorf Astoria, they have an amazing ballroom that you can transform, and they have patios that overlook the strip. So your bigger weddings are going to be in places like that. And the one thing that is nice is a few of these hotels are starting to see that it pays to have an outside planner. So they are either requiring it or they're suggesting that they do have it on top of what they provide. So if we can just get more people on board like that, I think it's very helpful to us. And
Yeah, well, I think that's changing. I've talked to people in New Orleans and in other areas of the country where they're requiring they either have a coordinator or a planner for your event. So yeah, it's coming.
it's an amazing idea. Everybody should do it because they are just completely different jobs.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So if you had to give, a business coming into the space, you and I are going to retire someday, hopefully. uh,
Right.
what advice would you give someone coming up in this type of work, getting
I would
started?
say to any new planners that want to come in, do your research, know your market, get a feel for what people charge, get a feel for what kind of services they're providing. It's really important to know because it's it's one of those businesses where it's not black and white. I mean, we're a service-based company, so our prices really just depend on what we're going to provide to them. So
Yeah,
I think you really have to get a feel and feel comfortable with what you're going to price yourself at. You have to tend to go a little lower starting off in the business, but you don't want to sell yourself short either.
yeah,
So I think knowing that going in will be helpful to them.
yeah.
And I think another big thing is getting the business side of your business all set before you jump into it. Don't just jump in and say, "Hey, I'm going to plan a wedding." Get your Instagram pages set up, have some content in there already, have your website already up and going. I think getting all those in place first will be helpful.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great advice. So last question, what's your best or worst wedding or business story that you have for me?
Oh.
Could be bad, could be good. Tell me your best. Yeah,
Well, I will say I love all of my weddings, so they're all really good.
yeah,
We've had, I don't know that I have like a worst, but I will say there's definitely a lot of things that have gone wrong at each one. One in particular that sticks out in my brain is we did a destination wedding in Zion National Park. It was at Ponderosa Ranch,
okay,
and most of their vendors came from Las Vegas. So we all had to travel up there the day of. And no matter how much you tell each vendor to allow for time, for travel, the distance, the time, it just, for whatever reason, didn't click with some of the vendors. And we had their florist who arrived 4 hours late to the wedding.
oh no,
So it kind of put a
wow,
damper on our setup process.
oh, I'm sure,
Yeah, and same thing with their band, and we had to kind of prolong their grand entrance and the first dance because they weren't ready to play.
wow,
Um, so we've definitely had some weddings that have their challenges, and that was a big one. That was a
yeah. How far is that from Vegas?
It's about 3.5 hours from here.
Wow, yeah, and that's probably down a 2-lane road up into the mountains.
Yes, and it's very limited cell service. So I'm on the phone trying to get a hold of all these people, and I'm having to
Yeah,
run up the mountain to find cell service to do it. And
yeah,
yes, it was
yeah,
a
and you
bit of
get
a
stuck
challenge.
behind someone that's driving slow, and there's nothing you can do, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
done that for sure. Yeah.
yes.
Brandalyn, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate you doing this. And
Thank you for having me.
thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text 520-399-8580 or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.